Okay, Chair. Commissioner Brottenberg, Vice Chair Benak, Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Heilman, Commissioner Gunno, and Chair Varnes, and Commissioner Chebian. I believe she's absent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And just to remind everyone to just press the button for your microphones to use when speaking. Thank you.
Okay, Stan, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, next is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, agenda is approved. Do we have anybody for public comment? Oh, sorry, minutes. Sorry, I don't have my glasses. Next up, we have approval of the minutes for the April 11th commission meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second it.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Our minutes are approved for the April 11th meeting. Now, do we have any public comment?
Chair, I do not see any members of the public online or in person.
Okay. All right. Well, now on to new business of the night. Thank you to our guests. Today we have Alicia, Carly, Irene, and Carlos representing some newly funded nonprofits. Are here to give us a little background on what's happening, and just so we'll have you speak maybe about up to 10 minutes. Give us an introduction of your nonprofit and what you're doing, and then we'll open it up to Q&A for the commissioners. So who would like to go ahead?
Sure, I can start. I have some slides, not many, but I wanted to bring you some. Yeah. Can you hear me, or should I take this? Okay. So I'm here to represent the Circle, that is a community navigation organization. We are serving Issaquah, Sammamish, and Renton, and Bellevue. Our team, this is our team. We have a board of directors. I'm the executive director and the founder. I have program coordinators. I have community navigators that are right now in training, will finish in September. And we have a board of advisors. All of these members are, all of this team are members of the community, and they're all from the diverse community. We have people from Seattle, Mexico, China, Pakistan, India, Cameroon, Russia. And we also have members from the Christians and Muslim Jewish communities. And the neurodiverse community as well. I am the executive director and the founder, as I said before. I've been helping the community for more than 14 years. I'm originally from Mexico, and I moved to Issaquah Highlands 14 years ago, and I started the very first thing that I did was to do a Day of the Dead event at my house. And that's how the community started asking me for questions. The second year, I had so many people at my house that I had to move it to a community space. And the third year was held at Blakey Hall. And that was like the first thing that we did as an organization. But then we moved to other services. Very soon, people start understanding that we were able to help them with the resources that they needed, or just guiding them, to get the resources that they needed. And because we communicate with them and connect with them through culture and other different events, now they feel comfortable about coming with us, right? Um, I'm partner with ISD. I work with ISD very closely. I have a meeting every Monday, and they send me all the new families that they are arriving to our cities and our communities, and I go and visit them. I also work very closely with the garage. I'm in their board. I work with the Issaquah Library and the Issaquah Community Services Organization and other local organizations, just trying to get all the resources that our um, new members of the community or the low income community needs to succeed here in their new communities. Um, and then, so this is what we do, right? So we welcome, we provide, and we build. And we can go to the next one, Rita. So yeah, so we do community navigation, and every week we meet with families who have arrived in our community and who need resources to help them get established and settle. So these are the families that they are that the district send us to us. Not only the district, but also the food bank and the Issaquah Community Services. And we have around 300 other families that we support every day with questions. These are families who are more established in our communities, but that still need some support. So we ask, the questions are, is the food bank open today? And I know that when they're asking that, it means that there is no food in their house, right? So I contact them and help them getting what they need for their families. Or at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, when they understand that they're not going to be able to pay the rent, they contact us and say, okay, can we get some support this month because we're not going to make it for different reasons. And so we help them with that and many other things, right? Tax preparation, legal consultation, domestic violence, senior assistance, and many other things. We visit their homes because for me, it's very important to really to know what are their needs, especially if they're new in the community. And with that, I go to their houses and I see what is needed and I make a list. And then you can see here, there's some beautiful pictures of some families who I had visited last month. They always serve me food, which is not good for my health, but I enjoy it and I appreciate it. And I always take a picture of the food to thank them for it. But there is members from all the different communities, right? So Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, Ukrainian. From Latin America, we have many new families from Venezuela and Peru. You can go to the next one. And when I go to the families and when I see that there is all the needs that they are, I create a list of all the resources that they need. Many times are hangers or TVs or dressers or other pieces that they're missing in their homes. And then I have a Giving Circle that is a program that is neighbors to neighbors or neighbors supporting other neighbors. And we distribute this into a group of neighbors, and then they are able to find the things that our newcomers need. And this is a baby that this week we were able to give him a crib. That's so cute. We also do education. So we have English as a second language classes at our offices. We provide informative sessions to teach families also how to build a house, how to buy a house, how to start a business. There are many other organizations in our community, especially in Seattle, that they are offering resources to all King County. But if you really don't connect them with them, if you don't bring them to our house and really introduce them to them in our house, our families will never use those resources, right? So it's very important to me to be able to make that connection in our house. So this is some pictures of the last session of our English class, and these are some of the students. We have many students. Here is Chile, Mexico, Venezuela, and there are many students from Turkestan. And these families from Turkestan are here in Sammamish. And these are the flyers from other community events that are all for education. So we just had this last month one to support mental health. And we did that with NAMI organization, that is an organization also in Seattle. We brought a real estate agent to teach families what is the road for them, or what do they need to do now in order to get a house in the future. We also brought someone from Ventures, that is an organization in Seattle, to teach the families, what do they need to do to start their own business? Because in this country, you can do a business even with the ITIN number. So it's very important for them to know that they are able to do a business. We have so many families that are selling tamales, or they are cleaning houses, and just for them to be able to have their business and to be able to leave that business to their kids, it's very valuable, and they're very excited, and they're all signed up. So now we have around 20 families who are doing that course right now. And I say families because they also do it with their teens, which is something that is very important to me. We have many teens that are not going to graduate from high school, or they don't really have much hope for their future. And it's very important to me that they are able to do something with their parents, and just to have something to look forward. We do many events. We have an inclusive circle that offers monthly meetings where children and teens with special needs participate in art and music. We have a Latino circle that offers Children's Day events, Day of the Dead celebration, and a winter event for seniors. We also have a Muslim circle that offers just an event this year to celebrate the end of Ramadan here in Sammamish. We did it at the Beaver Lodge. And we have other cultural workshops that are held through the year. I have some pictures of the events as well. You can see here, the kids in the middle are from the inclusive circle. And here on the right, we have a workshop for the Ukrainian community that they were doing Easter eggs. And we have there the Children's Day in the bottom, in the left bottom. That was the Children's Day event from the Latino circle. And in the top left is the Muslim community. And that's my information. And we have many other things that we're working on this year. We have a parents circle that is meeting every Thursday morning. We have a teen circle that is starting as well, and it's very exciting. They are doing, they wanna teach seniors about how to use a computer, and just adults as well, adults from the ISD community. Yeah, and we're starting some playgroups as well, Monday and Tuesday morning. So we're busy, but very, very thankful, and I feel really blessed to be able to go to meet with these families and to be able to serve them. Thank you so much for your support. It's very important to us.
Thank you for that that good information. Carly Garcia with For Tomorrow.
Can everybody hear me okay? Great. So my name is Carly Garcia, and I'm the Associate Director at For Tomorrow. For Tomorrow is a Latino and youth-focused organization that serves East King County in the cities of Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, and now Sammamish. And we do this, our mission is to serve the community and ensure their well-being through providing culturally support and coordination. And ideally, we do this through several of our programs. We have 3 main programs that will now be in Sammamish as well. So I'll talk a little bit about each of those programs. So our first program, which is our biggest program, is our Life Services program. This program works to provide the Latino and Spanish-speaking community with goal setting through goal setting specifically in areas of financial stability, maybe housing stability, immigration applications, or any other kind of basic needs applications, It really could be anything. And so our life services coordinators work to set short-term and long-term goals to really help the clients that we work with achieve their vision of success. And the next program that we have is our mental health program. Our mental health program essentially works to connect individuals in the community to mental health providers. As an organization, we have realized how difficult it can be to get connected with a culturally sensitive clinical therapist. And so we really work with those individuals to get them connected, kind of reduce the barriers that they may have in accessing mental health care. And we also do monthly psychoeducation classes in Spanish to the Latino community. We've been doing these for over a year now. We always have really great turnout. And then as a result of our mental health coordination program, we saw a large need for the Latino community to access mental health care. So we recently, at the beginning of this year, began providing free short-term culturally sensitive therapy to the Latino community in Spanish. And so we are able to provide free short-term therapy for up to 6 to 9 months to low to moderate income individuals in the community. And then our last program is our rental assistance program. And this program really works to provide financial resources to families and individuals that may be in a financial crisis. We can provide up to 1 month of rent assistance plus static fees. And we can also provide complete movement assistance for those that are experiencing housing instability. And their eligibility is determined through our application process. Currently, we have some other programs that are maybe not specific to Sammamish, but we can still accept residents of Sammamish. One of those, similar to what Alicia was speaking to, is our micro enterprise project. We also started this at the beginning of the year. We actually finished up our first cohort with Bellevue residents, but in this next upcoming cohort that is starting in July 10th, we are welcoming individuals from all East King County to join in starting their small business, or we can provide technical assistance and support to existing businesses as well. So that's another program that is available to residents in Sammamish. And then a little bit about our team now that I'm done with the program that we have. We currently have 3 board members. They are all Latino or identify as Hispanic or Latino. We also have 5 full-time staff. We're all also very culturally diverse. We all speak Spanish. And 5 part-time staff that also speak Spanish, and we have a Portuguese staff member that is able to provide assistance in Portuguese to residents or to clients. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Irene, is it Mueller? Muller. Essentials first.
Thought I was gonna have to hold it down the whole time. Hello, my name's Irene. I'm here representing Essentials First today. We are a nonprofit that is based in Bellevue, but we have a fairly wide service range that's always expanding based on our developing partnerships. So we assist individuals and families in King County, Skagit County, Pierce County, Snohomish County. We have very strong partnerships with several school districts, including Lake Washington School District in your area. So what we do is we both provide and advocate for equitable access to essential hygiene products. So we have a very low barrier distribution program called the Community Kits program, where we purchase or have donated full-size essential hygiene products for both personal and household use. So these are things like shampoo and conditioner, soap, laundry detergent, wipes. We have more specialized products available for folks who need shaving supplies, menstrual care, elder care, child care, diapers, things like that as well. But sort of the bread and butter, if you will, of these kits is those primary things that just about everybody needs to keep themselves and their homes and their families clean. So we distribute these through the Community Kits program in drawstring bag kits that have an average of 10 items in them, though we customize them pretty heavily for folks. So if it's a bigger household or they have individual needs, we're able to do that in our drop-in center in our office in Bellevue. And then we also distribute these kits through events with partner organizations, through school district partnerships like the one with Lake Washington School District. Recently, there was a food box distribution that happened in the school district, and we were able to have those kits available along with the food boxes. So folks could come get, say, a couple weeks worth of groceries and also get about a month's worth of hygiene supplies for their household at the same time. So that's our Community Kits program, which I think is the most active of our programs in Sammamish specifically. We also have a bulk distribution program where we partner directly with food banks and other distributors, bulk food distributors, in order to deliver hygiene products to them in bulk so that they can make them available to the clientele already accessing those facilities. So folks don't have to go somewhere additional to where they're already going to get, say, groceries or other kinds of assistance. We do our best to piggyback on existing infrastructure so we can make it as accessible as possible. So those are the two big programs that we have happening right now. In addition to that, we're also advocating at city and county, state and federal levels for changes in policy that will help close the gap in services that necessitates our existence right now. There are no existing assistance programs for these products is why we exist. You can't buy soap with SNAP, EBT, WIC. You can use TANF dollars, of course, those are unrestricted if you can get them, but there are a lot of access barriers to that. So the standard assistance that a family who is unhoused, underhoused, maybe recently arrived refugees or migrant families in various situations, families with elders, families on SSI, none of these existing infrastructures actually provide for hygiene needs. Occasionally, people are able to get these things from other nonprofits. Things like domestic violence shelters often will have a pantry of hygiene products, for instance, but it's not a primary budget item for them. It's not always a reliable resource, and it's not always super accessible depending on where folks live. We also do things like provide gas cards to people in the kits to help offset the cost of coming to someplace like our office in Bellevue to pick up a kit, or we partner with other programs. For instance, in Skagit County, they have an amazing program for the Helping Hands Food Bank where they actually deliver groceries to housebound seniors who are either not able to drive or live very far out in the country or are not comfortable coming in for any reason. And so we're able to equip them with supplies so they can also be bringing essential personal and household care products to folks along with groceries since they're making the trip anyway. So we partner creatively with as many different partners as we can, including commissions like yours and cities like Sammamish, so that we can make these things available where folks already go, alongside things that we already know folks need and people already know they can get. Our team is fairly small. I like to say we have a small staff and a huge volunteer base. We have an incredible body of volunteers. We have a board with, I believe, 17 or 18 members at this point, all of whom are very involved and represent a wide array of life experiences, ages, family situations. And so it's a really incredible working group of folks. We have a very dedicated office staff. We have admin staff, that would be me and our CEO. And then we have tons of volunteers who come in and help pack the kits. So the products are either purchased with donated funds or donated directly. Kits are assembled by volunteers for the Community Kits program. Stuff is distributed in bulk through partnerships with the existing networks for moving things like pallets of food around. But in this way, we're able to engage the community at multiple levels in accomplishing our ultimate goal of making sure that folks get in the shower and there's soap and shampoo and they go to do laundry and there's laundry detergent and fabric softener and whatever it is that they need. They go to care for their parents or their children. They have what they need to be safe, to keep themselves safe, to keep their families safe. So we are continuing to build on these programs. We're hoping to expand the network for the food bank partnership. We continue to look for new ways to partner with the Community Kits program so we can have these kits in as many school nurses' offices and community centers and libraries and city halls and farmers markets and human services fairs and everywhere we can possibly set them up so folks can gather the supplies they need where they're already going to be and where they can already get to. I may have forgotten something important, but I think I covered the major points. I look forward to answering questions later if folks have them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Carlos, minutes.
Located in the city of Redmond, right downtown Redmond. We started as a really small organization with about 840 square feet. Now we have right downtown Redmond about 7,200 square feet. So we're growing pretty fast. We are about 5 years old. We started as a couple of volunteers for about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years, 2.5 years. Now we are 9 staff and 10 full-time staff members. We have 9 high school interns that they receive a stipend every month. We also have right now full-time for college students from different colleges and universities throughout the country. So that's our full staff with the Centro. The name in the beginning created a little bit of confusion, Centro Cultural Mexicano, like we were gonna serve just Mexicans, which we try to clarify it every single day because the name is just like any other brand, like any big corporation brand. So we picked the name and that was nothing behind it. We serve the entire community. The staff is diverse. The community that we serve is from all over the region, and I say all over the region when I tell you what we have. We provide several services. One of the biggest services that we've been doing is within the rental assistance program. When the pandemic hit the country, we created one of the first rental assistance programs in the region with the grant that we received from one of the foundations. It was our first grant. It was a $25,000 grant that we received to keep our doors open, to pay the rent, the electricity, and everything else that is needed. Around that time, our Angie knows, which is our AD, and myself, we were the only 2 volunteers. And so we decided that it was time to do something. The community was knocking at our doors and asking for resources, financial resources. And we thought, well, let's talk to our landlord and see he can hold off to our rent and let's just distribute this $25,000 to the community. And that's what we did. We started distributing $500, $600 here, there, and there until we exhausted it. So after that, we partnered with the city of Redmond, the city of Woodinville, the city of Bellevue, King County. And so far we have distributed almost close to $29 million on rental assistance. We have designed one of the most innovative programs on rental assistance across the country within the city of Bellevue, which was to pay not only rental assistance, it was rental assistance, moving assistance, credit card payment, and mortgage payment. We came to the conclusion that it wasn't just rental. Rented our community needed. They were in debt and credit card payments. Some people borrow money from their credit cards to pay the rent. Some of community members in Bellevue were behind their mortgages, so we helped a few. And the program with the city of Bellevue has been so successful that we still helping the community. We have helped hundreds of families in the city of Bellevue. And as well as King County, we partner with King County, like many other organizations across the county. So we have served several thousands of families across the region, across the county. On the other hand, on our space, we partner with different organizations to deliver some programs, to create some programs. On our own, we try to focus on the youth more than anything. We have a maker space where we have all the technology, laser printers, laser cutters, 3D printers, embroider machine, vinyl cutters. We just received a big format printer that the students can learn how to design any graphics and print it. We have artists and they meet on our place 2 or 3 times a week. So they have a need to print their canvases. So we just purchase a big format printer that they're gonna be able to do a lot of things at no cost. The youth that attend our makerspace, they're from all over. We have several from this particular city, Sammamish, that they are using our creative space. But one thing is that every student that goes on there, they do not expend not even 1 cent. If somebody wants to print a shirt on our t-shirt printer, there is a digital printer, the latest on the technology. They say, I need this. They just pick it up from a box, do the design, do the printing, and it's there. No one expend not even 1 cent. One of the things at Centro Cultural Mexicano that we focus is and provide free services. Free services and free services. We also have a small business incubator. We have a conference room that the small businesses can come by and use at no cost at all. We've been providing free tax services until June 30th. We also provided for some of the community members that are in not so comfortable immigration situation. We provide the applications for their ITINs applications and renewals totally free. For the small businesses, we've been doing with, we partner with a couple of accountants. We hire them and we provide one-on-one services with over 300 families. We provide the free tax service from April till about the end of May. So at no cost at all. When it comes to the Small Business Incubator, we are part of the Small Business Resiliency Network from the Washington State Department of Commerce. We are also work with the Washington State Minority Business Services. We are also partnered with Cascadia College. We have a partnership with Cascadia College to promote education, which is one of our main focus with the youth. We established since last year a scholarship fund for the interns and open to the community, to all members of the community. Our interns, the first graduation of interns that we have this year, they did receive a $1,000 scholarship so they can continue with the education. Unrestricted funds, they can use it for books, for food, to pay the rent if they're gonna be living on campus. So there is many other things that we are trying to provide at Centro Cultural Mexicano. We do provide lots of referrals to other organizations when it comes to health, when it comes to legal. We don't have an attorney in-house, we don't have a doctor in-house or a social worker or psychologist, but we do provide the referral services. One thing in the beginning in Centro Cultural Mexicano that we did is we use one of the most powerful tools that we believe is on our hands, which is art and culture. Through art and culture, we've been able to connect with the community through music, art, culture, everything that is on that end. We provide gallery services for the artists at no cost. We have an art exhibit every month, free, on both spaces. So there is 2 areas that the artists can come by and hang their art. We curate the exhibit and it's free for the entire month. We provide music. Sometimes we provide the food so they can have their own exhibit. We also teach parents and children. We have some workshops with FAFSA, WANIC, WAPSA, so they can take advantage and get their financial aid and go on with their education. Other than that, we continue working with the rest of the cities that I just mentioned and thinking on our expansion just about on a daily basis from we're not that old. We're 5 years old and the pandemic hit. So we are just about 2.5 or 3 years old in actual operations, but we have grown an extremely fast pace. We have received support from the cities, the county, the state, and the federal at the federal level, more than anything to empower the youth and so they can continue with that education. We're really happy to partner with Cascadia College. And we are going to be providing new services before the end of the year, which is the citizenship services, English as a second language, and of course, the Spanish also will be opening that to the entire community. And we continue with providing the service of a vaccination. I know COVID, they say it's over, but we think that it's not over. We have one event just about every single month that we provide. We work with different healthcare providers to come by and bring the vaccine for COVID, as well as the boosters vaccines. Like we're having one this coming Sunday for Father's Day. So we have one every month. We also have several events. We hold the biggest Cinco de Mayo in King County. We just had about 20,000 people in downtown Redmond on our previous Cinco de Mayo festival. We had agencies, we provided vaccine also, we provide some financial support. And this Father's Day event, this coming Sunday, we'll be providing some food cards so that, our community members, if they have the need, can go to Safeway, as we say, and, purchase some food. We also provide incentives if they get their booster or their vaccine, some $50, $25 gift cards. So that always attracts the community, and they use those gift cards to purchase usually groceries, which is great. We'll be providing this coming Sunday with health kits with everything that is needed to provide a kit test for the COVID that is still available instead of purchasing for $25, $30 at the grocery store. We're providing kits for free and many other things out there. But if you have any chance, come by and visit us. Come by and visit us. It's a really exciting space that we have, community space that we have out there. And thank you for supporting us. And we have one program that I'm gonna say that we have that is really fun is we started a mariachi program teaching mariachi music, which we have several kids from Sammamish taking the class every Saturday from 10 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's a really fun program, and it's a way to connect with the families, even though it's music, but that's what we use to connect and engage with the families, and it's been working since we opened on a great pace. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, and thank you all for, first of all, the work that you do in the community, meeting so many various needs. And thank you for coming tonight to present to us and be open to our questions. So at this point, I'll open it to questions. It looks like we have one over here. Commissioner Go.
I'll kind of run all the way around so it's easier. Alicia, where do you operate out of Gilman and out of Holmes? Is that primarily, or?
Yeah, so we have an office in Gilman, and we also visit families at their houses.
Okay. And Carly, I didn't catch where your base of operations were.
Yes, sorry, I
That's
did
okay.
not mention that. We recently moved into a office at the Together Center in Redmond. And we are in the works of moving into the Kirkland Teen Union building, hopefully in the fall, but if not in the fall, then for sure by the end of the year. So we'll have the Redmond office at the Together Center and the KTEP Center building in Kirkland.
Okay, thank you. Irene, you guys are in Bellevue, is that my understanding primarily? And how many hygiene packets do you give out in a month about? Okay. Are you hooked into the ISQA food and clothing bank? Okay, because they've now started delivering, and that's a big plus, especially the seniors that can't get out. I appreciate that. Carlos,
Yes, sir.
you have a gallery, you have events, you have, where in Redmond are you?
I'm right downtown. We are right downtown Redmond and Redmond Way and Gilman, right? If you are familiar with Redmond, you know where Redmond Vacuum and Big Trust Coffee,
Yes.
that's where we are. And also we took over the building and the corner of Redmond Way and Larry Way, right in
Okay.
the very corner. Mhm.
You have a website where we can look at
Yes,
schedules? and-
yes, yes, sir, we do. It's centroculturalmexicano.org. That's,
Rita, can you email it to us?
yeah.
Oh, actually, if you could share everybody's web address
Mhm.
with us.
Sure.
Thank you.
And then
I
one,
agree.
one thing that I'm sorry that I forgot to mention is we have a radio station in-house. So we reach about 24,000 people 3 times out of the week. We go live in KXPA 1540 AM. We have a program that is bilingual, English and Spanish. We don't translate. We have a conversation about issues. So anytime that you want to come by and visit and be in the radio, it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and it's live.
Well, I appreciate all of you taking time out and sharing your information with us. Thank you.
Irene, if somebody needed basically some of these supplies, like some of the senior citizens or people like that, how would they go about getting them? Is this something they would go to your office, or is this something, particular partners you work with? So how would they know to go and be able to get it if they had that need? Great, thank you.
I was I'm really interested in the advocacy work you do. And it is astounding that one can't buy hygiene products on food stamps or whatnot. I've always thought that a good nonprofit should be trying to put itself out of a job by solving the problem, right? So do you have a full-time person in advocacy, or is it kind of when legislation is in session?
Keep forgetting to use this, sorry, but a good question. So we're in the process of opening, I didn't mention this before because it's newer, but we're building an intern program. And so what we're going to be doing is providing stipended internships for college students, and then high school internships where we can coordinate and help kids get credit for doing the internship and help build job skills and provide them with as much foundation as we can moving forward. So for kids who want to go into human services or just would like to brush up on their professional skills, et cetera. And so we're going to have different types of interns. And one area we're going to be bringing folks on board for is advocacy, so that we can start creating opportunities for kids who want to get into political science and political advocacy to work with us on that. Currently, we have a couple of very involved volunteers who are more advocacy minded, and so they provide some support with that. I'm kind of in the driver's seat right now in terms of actually scheduling meetings, but I can say that between January of this year and when next session convenes at the state level and the federal level, actually, we will have met with about 24 Congress members, both from Washington state and at the federal level, just bringing awareness. You would be amazed how many people who are on the human services committees at the federal level also have no idea that you can't buy soap with EBT or WIC. And so we're really just trying to build kind of express the urgency of the issue, because it deeply impacts behavioral health. It impacts mental health. We hear about kids not wanting to go to school because they have their period and they don't have a way to stay clean. And so we've got kids missing school, missing activities, not spending time with their friends. Same thing for parents and caregivers who aren't able to show up the way they want to. So our advocacy strategy at this point is partly advocating for specific policy, but also just trying to create space in the larger human services conversation, because this is a basic need that kind of gets left off the list. When people think of basic needs in politics, they think housing, healthcare, food, education, and then you get into the more, prenatal care, the more specifics, and then eventually like, oh, wait, also cleaning houses, taking showers, and there's layers, of course, to that access issue, because folks still need to have access to running water, laundry machines, safe places to take care of themselves. So we're sort of trying to approach it from both ends, both systemically, like you said. Absolutely, our primary goal is to not be necessary anymore. We would love to not need to do this. And also to make sure that in the meantime, while we're trying to make these policy changes and try to create a broader awareness of hygiene poverty, that people can get what they need in the meantime until there's better infrastructure at a higher level.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. One of the things that we heard repeatedly as we did evaluations last fall was about funding and retention of frontline service staff. So we'd love to hear from you a little bit on that, just so that you know that we heard that. But then also emerging needs. You've talked a lot about the wonderful services you're providing. What are some of the things that are starting to emerge over the past year that you'd love for us to hear now as first hearers as we consider additional funding in future years? So staff and emerging needs.
Sustainability of a nonprofit is one of the most difficult things to accomplish from time to time. But when it comes to our, like on our case, that we've been growing, as you grow as an organization from 2 volunteers to 10, plus another 13 students, as you grow, the needs also grow. The one-on-one contact that we have with the community has teaching us that the community doesn't have just only one single need, which is health, or a couple of boxes of food. Their need is so extensive. Then it comes to, okay, I don't have money to purchase what my children needs to go to school. I don't have money to take my kid to school now. I'm not enrolled in this program. I'm not enrolled in this other program in the school. I'm at a job. One thing that we really find out is that now members of the working community in every city, they just don't have the job that they used to have before the pandemic hit us. They used to have a full-time job, one single job, go home, pick up their kids from school. Now, at a convenience of many big businesses or regular sized businesses, they cut every single full-time job into a part-time job so they don't have to provide the benefits that they're supposed to. Now, members of families, working families, have minimum 2 jobs. We know families have 3, even to 4 jobs instead of 2 per family. So the needs is getting a little different now. East King County has a really particular needs than the other side of the water. We have seen communities moving from place to place. The experiences that we have with the rental assistance, it was an exodus of the working families, the ones that they don't particularly own a home, moving from one place to another place, from one side to another side, and now all the way across the water in some instances. I do believe that as we grow as an organization, it's just because the need is growing, and it's growing and it's growing at all levels. It's not difficult to explain that the community, the working class need food or needs a shelter. We're lucky not to have the homeless problem that across the water are having in some other cities. But that's because I do believe that the vision of these cities in East King County is a little different than down there. So to answer your question, it's difficult to come by with a single need because every single need is growing. Healthcare is growing. Many families don't have the healthcare coverage that is needed. The youngsters have it by law, but the adults, they don't have it. The elderly, it's another problem that we are facing now. Yeah.
Go around if that's okay. I'll start with the emerging need because you put it so well, and I'll kind of continue on that point that the pandemic definitely exacerbated everything across the board. But one thing we're seeing from our vantage point, from the sort of basic human needs perspective, is that COVID was a mass disabling event. And so there's a lot of people who are new to needing to be cared for, and there's also a lot of new caregivers. And all of that requires essential supplies. It, of course, requires healthcare, food, housing, childcare, all these things we already know about. But it's also created an increased need and a more urgent need for the ability to maintain a sanitary environment, meet unique needs, meet changing needs. Elder folks who being elderly looks really different when there's a pandemic happening than it did beforehand, and being a caregiver does too. And so, we are supplying a lot more hand sanitizer and masks than we used to. But in addition to that, we're also just trying to serve a community that is under a lot more pressure than they were before in terms of trying to meet basic needs on a day-to-day basis. So the stress levels are much higher. We're seeing more folks under more pressure more of the time. You also may be aware that there was recently at the state level about a $65 million cut to basic food assistance, which has created a huge amount of pressure for everybody in human services because we're now trying to meet a much larger need with much less resources. Part of the nature of our work in particular is that we exist in a strained funding void where most basic needs funding is restricted, so it doesn't include hygiene. And so we're often looking for funding sources that have more liberal boundaries so that we're able to get basic needs funding without taking funding away from people who are providing basic food assistance, essentially. And so though it technically was food funding that was lost, it's also created more financial pressure in our sector of meeting non-food basic needs, because often our funding kind of comes from the accessory funding in the larger basic needs funding sources. So on the nonprofit side, we're definitely seeing more competition for a shrinking amount of money in order to meet a rapidly expanding set of needs in our community. And just an increased need for energy and compassion and human power on our side, because there are so many folks who are dealing with so many layers of being failed by so many systems at once and feeling it so acutely in their day-to-day lives and in the lives of their kids and their parents. So that's our emerging needs picture at this moment. Staffing wise, we are growing right now. We started out in a garage in 2017 as a family project, essentially, an incredible family and an incredible project. But we've grown from that to having this storefront office space. We have office staff whose job is to actually do interfacing with the public, and then additional staff like me, who spends most of their time behind a computer, doing a lot of this networking work and building, marketing collateral and building these relationships. And so we're doing our best to prioritize creating stable, sustainable long-term employment for folks over bringing in a lot of part-time people short-term, because we want to have a team that works well together, that we can build on the work we're doing together, and that we're not contributing to the problems that we're trying to solve by not providing the folks who work with us with stability. So we're doing our best to front load some of that work by putting board infrastructure and HR infrastructure in place as we expand in the first place, so that we are building a place that we want to work, essentially, rather than letting our program growth outstrip our personnel growth and then having to catch up, which I'm sure anyone who's worked in a nonprofit has been through at least once. So we're doing our best to grow consciously, but also trying to grow quickly to meet these, like I said, just exponentially expanding needs. Thank you.
Okay, I will also start with our with the needs and challenges that we've seen in our community specifically. In terms of mental health, we've really seen a challenge for the community to have access to quality mental health care that is culturally sensitive in their language. In addition to that, we have also seen kind of a lack of health insurance, which really creates many barriers for them, and even less access and quality of mental health care. In addition to that, some of the members of the community that we serve are undocumented, which adds an extra layer of complex needs, and again, access to healthcare and insurance, and it makes it really difficult, which is why For Tomorrow really works hard to provide that free therapy to the individuals of our community, so that we can meet those needs. And also the community, there's some stigma around mental health. So we're really, through our psychoeducation classes that we offer monthly, we really work towards reducing that stigma within our community and just providing education around mental health, so that they can work on their mental health goals and their well-being. In terms of other challenges and needs that we've been seeing in our communities, is the high cost of living, which really makes it difficult for them to access housing, and it really adds just like a whole barrier of challenges. We've also seen really the inability to find stable work. Again, the undocumented community, this is something that they specifically struggle with, finding stable work so that they can provide for themselves and their families. We've also seen an increase in homelessness and individuals that are living in their cars, maybe couch surfing, or living in tents, or having to rely on organizations to provide a few days of motel or hotel stays. So this is something that we've also seen. And finally, just a dwindling of resources. As some of you have mentioned, the COVID protections are ending, and there's just not as much help as there was before. So really trying to fill in those gaps for the community is something that we're striving to do, but it is becoming increasingly difficult. And as far as our staff, we are looking to grow. We are a team of 10, 5 full-time, 5 part-time staff. And we're really looking to grow by hiring culturally sensitive clinicians to provide therapy in English and in Spanish. This is also a little bit difficult to find individuals to fill these positions, but it's something that we're working towards, expanding our team and expanding, not just to expand, but really to add value to our team, and somebody that is going to really help us provide support to the community. And we are adding some more programs. So we are looking to expand in those other programs as well. And we hope to have a bigger team, and really just working on our policy as well. As an organization that started out in 2019, right before the pandemic started, everything happened really quickly, but our core team is really working towards finding or putting in place those policies that are really going to help solidify For Tomorrow as an organization, so that our staff can provide assistance to the community. Thank you.
Carly, just one more question. You may have mentioned,
Yes.
but where is your office located in
Yeah,
Bellevue, and where at?
Sure. So we don't have an office in Bellevue, although we do serve Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, and now Sammamish. But we recently moved into the Together Center in Redmond. And then hopefully in the coming months, at least before the end of the year, moving into the Kirkland Teen Union building. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we've been seeing at the circle that the needs that are growing in our community is definitely the need of having more cultural navigators and just connecting with the families, inter-communities. So as I said before, we work really close with the district. We meet with them every week, And now we are working on a plan to go to all the low-income communities in the different cities. So here in Sammamish, we go to Highland Gardens and other communities that they have a community space, and we are there in their communities, visiting them in their homes, but also offering books for the kids and resources in their community. So that's what you know, it's a program that I'm very excited about it, and the district is really interested about providing this. The district also has some liaisons, and we work together with them. So they come to these programs, or these events, or the program, and we all work together. There are also other organizations that come to that, those events, providing tutoring for kids and counseling for kids. And I think that what we have seen growing is that if you don't go to where the families are, if you don't visit them at home or in their communities, it's very hard for them to come to where we are. And we are very excited to work all together as a community. In the past, I think that the food bank and Issaquah Community Services and all the other organizations were working independently, and now we're trying all to work together and to bring all the resources together to the different low-income communities in our cities. So that's something that is new, and that is definitely growing the need of just people who really can go and talk to them in their communities, and to make them feel comfortable about getting the resources that they need. We have a growing number of families that are arriving in our community, not only for Latin America. I mean, we do serve a lot of Latinos, maybe 80% or 75% are Latinos, but there are many others families who are not Latinas, and we are serving them as well. And we see a growing number of refugees arriving in our communities from, I think I mentioned the countries before, but we have never seen so many coming from Turkestan, Syria, Pakistan, Iraq, and Turkey. After the earthquake, and it's always something going on in the world, and then we see this group of people coming and different families arriving. Mental health is also, as Kaylee mentioned earlier, it's also something that is very, it's needed to have more services to support families with mental health. We are also providing that in the communities, and we are bringing those services also to the high schools. So the circle is really working really close to the district, because we want to make sure that we are supporting the students, and then also we support the families outside their houses. And we're bringing some organizations into the high school. So we already start in Issaquah High School, and now we're gonna bring those organizations to Skyland, just to have more counselors at the schools. Yeah.
I want to say how valuable it is to have you with us, to give us what's happening now.
Yeah.
I went through the four of your applications, so 8 of them total here, in the last few days, to see what you hope to do. What you're reporting is what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. There's something that you'd like to tell us that you haven't had the opportunity.
I will start with saying that it's always great to see the commission really taking the time to listen the organizations that are out there doing the work in the ground. You can hear news, good and bad news in TV, newspaper, but I from our part, we do thank you in the name of Centro Cultural Mexicano and the community for giving us this opportunity to tell you how it is. From at least in my case, I love to go to the apartment complexes, and my favorite place is the laundry room, where I can find all mothers and fathers doing the laundry, but they feel comfortable talking to each other right there. And I just become one more member of the community. And the message is, any help that you can give us is always welcome. So to be here and tell you what we do, how we do it, and the plans that we have to expand, to continue serving the community, I do believe that the time that you put in these commissions, and I'm a commissioner myself, and I've been a council member before, I understand the importance of listening to the people that are doing the work in the ground. For that, I do thank you.
Appreciate your time talking to the Rotary Club last summer. It was really great to hear the enthusiasm. I mean, the two of you that were presenting was absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
Catching up with Nikki in the meanwhile has been great too, to just how it's going. I'm thrilled that you're now a nonprofit. This is fantastic. For tomorrow, your programs are unbelievable. Please share with us what you think we may be missing.
I forgot to say thank you. So thank you for having us and for supporting us and supporting the community. I was just something I didn't dwell on as much, but I also heard from y'all is that we're all learning how to work together in new ways. There's so much networking happening, and there's more, and just like all the referral services everyone's offering, and like this willingness, I'm experiencing this from other nonprofits, from government entities, from commissions and councils, that there seems to be this real opening of the structure that we use to work together. And, I see folks like you also making space to listen and break down the barriers to helping each other and to seeing the reality of what's happening. And so I really value and appreciate you all investing in a process that contributes to that openness and that gives us all a chance to not only tell you what we hope is possible, but what we're already seeing and how we're already working together and what we need to do that better. Because it's really incredible how the systems that we're building really are greater than the sum of their parts, and processes like this or how that happens. So I know that you have a million things on your plates, and I'm really grateful that we all got to be in the center of it in our programs and our communities, because it really does make a difference.
Go ahead. There's lots of advantages with the Together Center too.
Yes.
Meeting in the corridor. I mean, it's just walking between, and for the clientele to be able to link in so many things at the same time is phenomenal. And people at the charities now being able to not say that this is mine. This is where you can go. Let me help you with this.
Yes. I'll start off also by saying thank you for having us and for listening. And for your thoughtful questions and your curiosity about all of our organizations and what we can bring to the city of Sammamish. I will reiterate what we have all said about the importance of partnership and working together. Being at the Together Center is really special. It's a nonprofit hub. And so just being able to connect with other nonprofits there is really unique. And just having the partnerships with other organizations so that if we can't serve in-house, that we can always provide a referral to other outside organizations, and still making sure that that the clients that we're serving are being helped, even if it's not with us, that it's with someone else that we trust is going to provide the support that they need. And for example, at Essential First, we actually have a For Tomorrow staff that is there on Fridays that speak Spanish, and they're able to help the community that comes in and speaks Spanish. One of our staff members is actually a board member of Essentials First. And so it really just goes to show how important it is to have those partnerships and working together and being able to sit here and share the unique needs and challenges of our community, and for you all to be able to listen and really take that in and apply it into future considerations is really important and meaningful. And we hope to serve the city of Sammamish just as well as we've been serving the cities of Bellevue, Kirkland, and Redmond. Thank you for having us.
Do you want to go ahead?
I just want to say that we have a lot of events going on in the circle, and we will love to see you coming. Really, we have like cultural workshops where you will be able to meet and to have pass some time with the families that are arriving, and I think that's very valuable. We had some members from the Issaquah Commission coming, and I think that they enjoy that a lot. So I will be sending you invitations, and hopefully we'll be able to see you at the circle. Thank you.
I just had a question. When we were reviewing applications, a lot of the nonprofits were saying that staffing was an issue. And I love hearing that you're all ramping up your staffing, but they were saying that wages, there's pressure on wages and there's retention issues. Is that continue to be a problem or an issue with finding, retaining staff? Because the work that you do is important, but I can imagine with all of the needs, it's also very stressful. So if you could just address. Yeah.
Yes, I will say really quick that it is an issue because the pandemic has changed the whole spectrum of labor and hiring positions. Now you can see the many new employees that you try to hire, they love to work from home. They get used to it. I can tell you that we have never closed a single day, not even during the pandemic. We didn't allow people to come in. We talked to them from the door, but we never closed. We just don't believe on working from home at all. If we try to hire someone and say, well, I'd like to have half and half, no, thank you. I mean, the community doesn't need a half and half employee. So it is an issue right now. Now another thing is that I guess my colleagues will agree that salaries are not the same than before the pandemic. The economy is changing, so salaries are higher. Some went even to, double. If you were paying $1, now you have to pay $2. And so even that negotiation on the table for a salary, it's starting to be a little difficult. So we are encountering some difficulties on hiring. Mm-hmm.
Comments or similar?
At For Tomorrow, we have really worked to try to get more people or candidates interested in the positions. We worked really hard to offer like a benefits package, to offer some flexibility in like a hybrid option of working remotely and in person. Our office is kind of small at the Together Center, so we're not all able to be there at once. But we really are working on offering the things and competitive wages to really retain and keep employees and attract employees. As far as our current employees, we're also really working on offering trainings and professional development for our staff so that they feel heard and supported through in being able to provide the support to our community. But I think, as I mentioned previously, trying to find clinical therapists to provide therapy in English and in Spanish has been a little bit challenging. I'm just trying to reach out to new grads or maybe individuals that are still in the process of receiving their mental health provider licensure and offering stipends, paying for their clinical hours. So we're being creative and trying to attract those candidates and keeping our options open. But a little bit challenging, but I think we're working on addressing the issues and the needs.
Yeah, well, in our case, we've been working with so many volunteers for so many years that now it's kind of very nice to be able to offer them, to hire them, right? So we're working on a plan to have community navigators. And this is people that's been with us for a long time, just volunteering their time. Many of them were part of some PTS or some of the schools, and there's just people who really knows their communities. So I think we are in a very different stage because we're so new, but we haven't any issue. I mean, people is very excited about being able not to be part of the circle as a staff. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part of it's questions and part of it's kind of a statement. I see an opportunity, and I don't know if you're already partnering and reaching out to one of our biggest underserved populations, which are seniors. Sammamish has got a new active senior program. I don't know if you've reached out to them. I don't know if you've been in contact with senior centers, but if you haven't, I would highly recommend it if possible. And then my question, you know, when I worked on the King County Veterans Program, we had every year people would come in and get their annual check. Never fail, right to the day. And there was never any questions as to why do you really need it? What put you in this situation? So it got to the point that we added a little bit of case management with these people because a lot of them just needed help with setting up a budget. And some of them had gambling problems and we had to deal with that. Some had drug problems and we had to find ways to deal with that. But I don't know, do you, I know it's really involved, but do you have any kind of case management built into your system? You do, okay. That's all you do. Okay, good.
Yeah, definitely
because
lots of case
we
management.
ran into situations too where people were shopping for assistance. So they go to you and get rent assistance, then they go to you, then, and pretty soon they were making a profit on the deal versus just getting help.
I'm sorry,
Oh, it's okay.
That's why it's so important for us to be all connected, all the organizations, right? Because I know who is asking for rent assistance every month, right? So it's important for me to be connected with Issaquah Community Services, with some business DePaul. So yeah, I know, I know who is asking for help every month, and sometimes it's because there is something going on in their house and it's totally okay with it. But other times when we realize that there is not okay for them to be asking for help every month, we just set up goals with them and really spend a lot of time with them trying to figure it out how to help them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think we're probably the outlier in that we provide much more targeted services than a lot of the other folks speaking here today in terms of the variety of programs. And so our version of case management, to some extent, because we have a lot of families who come back. And so there's an element of that ends up being sort of like case management, where it's like, oh, the baby's older now, what you need is different. We get involved on that level somewhat with folks who return, but we largely manage that need by partnering closely with organizations that have more diverse offerings or with a wide network of partners that we're in pretty close contact with. And there's groups like Nourishing Networks who are active all over the region, whose whole purpose is that kind of sort of cross-organizational facilitation and to be able to help with a more nuanced approach to the referral structure. So for us, I think we don't really have the capacity to do individual case management, but we know it's a need. And so we do our best to serve that by helping facilitate close connections, not just here's a pamphlet, but let me connect you with a real person at a real organization whose office I've been to. So I know what I'm asking you to walk into. I know who I'm asking you to speak to. We do our best to follow up with individuals as well, both when we make referrals and when we see them again.
I appreciate you all partnering with other nonprofits. For so many years, nonprofits were concerned, oh, I'm not going to share with you because there goes my funding, or I'm not going to share with you, instead of realizing, together that dollar and that dollar is actually $3.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can use it better. So I'm glad to see that partnering taking place. Knocking down those silos.
Yeah.
You know?
I think maybe we're all kind of hearing that and underscoring what Stan and Joyce have both said. I almost, kind of future funding will look for our folks partnering. Are they open to that? And I wonder if that could be a question as appropriate, in applications. Are you referring to other appropriate agencies? Are you partner with? Are you collaborating and learning from, other organizations, that sort of thing? It just says a openness, and it's probably the most encouraging. Love all the things you're doing, but the collaborating and learning from each other, I'm just most encouraged by.
I want to speak to when our commissions met together on a regular basis. Interesting to see how the other communities are working, especially in the rental assistance and tapping into Salvation Army versus St. Vincent de Paul versus his services versus Hope League versus. It was like, okay, how do we manage this?
Yeah.
I think on that end, I'd like to say that on our case on Centro Cruz Mexicano, we advocated for funding for the last almost 3 years with the DOH at the state level. And it was a little difficult, but at the end we were successful getting some funding from DOH to work with different nonprofit organizations. So now we're working with about, I believe it's 4 or 5 from Bellingham to within the 3 counties that we're working with to provide funding and sustainability to those organizations, helping them grow the way we did. It was a little difficult to advocate at state level because funding was tough in the middle of the pandemic, but the proposal that was so great outline that at the end, DOH came and said, okay, guys, you can do this. There it goes. We're gonna help you expand your services. So as we speak, and we have, as an example, we have one of the best kept secrets for a nonprofit, which is a nonprofit that serves the Brazilian community. They're part of the Latino community, but they don't speak our language. And that's almost one of the most forgotten communities. And the Brazilian community is growing in the state of Washington. So we partner with them. They establish themselves now. They're working on establishing themselves as a real nonprofit. They have an umbrella. We're providing a couple $100,000 worth of funding so they can develop the programs and approach the community and start providing services, just to name one, and as well as some other ones. In Bellingham, we found one that it's also a great organization that now we are helping and in different areas. So it's great to the comment that you make, the $1 and another dollar, it makes $3. You're totally right. And but I think we need these opportunities like the one that you are providing for all of us right now to hear what we do, the services that we provide. And I do also, I'm gonna agree on one thing, the so valuable community of veterans are totally underserved. It's one of the most humble communities that the veterans, the veterans, yeah. I do believe that it's one of the most humble communities because they don't ask for anything. They don't like to ask. They still on the field that don't deserve the help, even though they sacrifice their lives, many of them. And some we can see them with some problems like you already enumerated some problems, and also the seniors, they don't have a way sometimes to get out of their home and ask for the help. So our job is just to go knock on their doors and say, here we are. What did you need? What did you need? Like, it's always the opportunity to serve. We just need to be out there. And once again, I'm extremely thankful that you listen to what we do and everything we try to do, and we try to do better with all your support and the city support. So
I'd like to answer as well. I appreciate your suggestion in tapping into the senior community. and serving them. At For Tomorrow, although we do have a focus on Latino and youth, we never turn anyone away, and we do make an effort to still provide services as much as we can to all individuals and families. And I think in terms of the case management, our live services program and our live services coordinators essentially do provide case management. And our program is shifting a bit. We found that individuals were coming to us maybe just solely for rent assistance, and then coming back the next month for rent assistance. And so our program is shifting a bit to be a little bit more focused, so that we are creating and setting goals with the individuals that are coming to us, and so that we're working with them over the course of maybe a month or 3 months to really hone in on maybe the root cause of why they're needing rent assistance every month, and just addressing those issues and working with them to really better themselves, better their families, and provide for themselves. So if that means maybe one of their goals is rent assistance, maybe one of their other goals is finding a stable job, or maybe they need clothing or food. So partnering or having those partnerships with other organizations is really important, because although we don't necessarily provide those basic needs, we can always refer them to Essentials First or any of the other amazing organizations that we partner and network with.
And for us at the Circle, we work very close with Friends for the Seniors, that is right here, next, very close to you, here in Sammamish. During the pandemic, we did hundreds of care packages for them, and we provide for many volunteers to bring those care packages to all the seniors in our communities. And we also were very close with CMAR, who has group of volunteers and staff who goes to different senior centers. They come to Issaquah and they go to Bellevue, and they do just activities for the seniors, and we also provide with volunteers for them and different activities. We have been doing a winter event for them for the last 13 years. A lot of fun. We just love to bring a fun festivity for them to do. And that event, I think we have around 200 volunteers working on that event every year. Yeah. But there are many things to do. And I'm really excited that now we have here in Beaver Lake, that cross-cultural group. Yeah, I was talking to Rita about it. And we're definitely going to be supporting them. Yeah.
Yeah, because earlier we found out, as far as seniors being underserved,
yeah,
there's a couple of reasons. One, seniors older than me, obviously, don't ask for help because they've been raised not to. And they are, when they do ask for help, they really need it. And there were an increasing number of seniors going to the food and clothing bank because they couldn't afford food and medication and getting to where they need to be. So Essentials would come into big play there. That's why I was asking outreach on that.
Yeah.
Those are things that we look at when we're looking at grants and who we can help fund. Is, are we covering the whole community? It's important to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
I think a real issue too is that we don't have community newspapers. We don't have flyers. We don't have the kind of things we used to have that could help people know what is available and where to go for it. Walking into the library, you can learn a lot of things about the Pride Parades coming up, but there's nothing there that really talks about where you can go or who you can call.
Yeah, everybody says call 211 or whatever. Like, there should be a central website with everything. It would be so much easier.
It really works.
And then a print version for folks who don't use the internet.
Yeah, exactly. There's still a population out there that doesn't.
Yeah, we got to advertise 211.
That's still better than what we got now.
I was going to say that need definitely underpins us doing the bulk distribution program too, because that's how we're able to kind of stock that section of the food bank, for instance, so that because we know it's a huge barrier, folks aren't going to go to a second location to get an additional resource because they often can't. Either they can't afford another Uber or get a family member to drive them a second place, or it's too far to walk, or there isn't bus service. And so, you know, the kits are visually a lot handier and like, there's your hygiene supplies for the month. But one of the advantages of also doing the bulk distribution is it lets us, you know, put another pallet on the truck rather than another truck on the road, and put another section in the food bank versus needing to establish a whole separate building and then tell people it's there and help them figure out how to get there, and, you know, imposing even further on the isolation that I know a lot of seniors deal with. I care for my dad who's in his 80s. So I feel you very deeply on this being a super personal, super pressing issue, because
It's just easier to go to one location.
right, absolutely.
Yeah,
And for
absolutely.
caregivers to only have to track down one location and, okay, we're going to stop here every 2 weeks and we're going to get everything dad needs. And they're going to have, you know, if we need additional services, there'll be somebody there who can refer us to someplace else because everybody's talking to each other. And the more and more we're able to build on that model, I think it just, like you said, the 1 and 1 makes 3. It just exponentially increases the reach for sure. Yeah.
I don't realize how loudly I gasp until people look at me when I'm just taking but one of the things that we talked about in our evaluations is that we saw, you know, some agencies were not able to meet some of their goals of number of people that they would serve. So just as we've talked about, you know, access and awareness, what are some of the most common ways that folks find out about you that are in need? And is there something along the lines of kind of the combined, you know, information to let people know what's available? So anyway, just maybe very briefly on that, how do folks find out, and are there kind of a wish list of how to help promote your programs?
From our end, our outreach campaign is always massive. We use one of the few Spanish-speaking newspapers. So we print, and we know that it's going to get to the community. Having our own radio station, our own show that is live 3 times out of the week on prime time is also great. We use as much as we can social media to connect with, you know, the social media that we use, and I think it's been working great. And also continue using in every event art and culture has been a massive success for ourselves.
For us, the referral network is huge. We do advertise on social media. We do our best to get in when people are putting together directories. We do our best to get connected with as many of the sort of broad spectrum organizations like Nourishing Networks and like, you know, y'all who do a lot of referring, so that we're on those lists when people say, let me see who we're connected to. Oh, you need that. Let's see who can provide that. But a lot of it is also things like being connected to the school district. So when school counselors and school nurses or even teachers are observing a deficit in an area that we could be helpful in, they know where to send folks. And they know that if we are not equipped to do that or not in an area that's accessible, we'll know who else can provide that. And we're also seeing we've had multiple organizations now say, you know, we have a huge backstock of hygiene products because we've been trying to meet this need haphazardly. Can we just give them all to you and then send everybody to you instead? And this is happening over and over and over again, because it's like, we're doing one thing and we want to do it really well. Y'all are already doing 15 things. Why don't you let us do this one thing? And so those relationships are becoming increasingly valuable, because I think, you know, in addition to people, I think we hear other people more loudly than we hear things we read on the internet. It sinks in more quickly. But also that trust, especially, you know, we have a lot of folks that we're connected to who are refugees, who are coming out of homelessness or domestic violence, or, you know, living in poverty and living in, you know, inhumane conditions, dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of shame and a lot of things that make it hard to ask. And so having other providers who are able to with compassion say, you know, let me come with you, or let me go with you by email even to connect you with this thing, or recommend something directly that I have experience with. I've found that to be a lot more impactful in terms of people who actually end up coming in the door or reaching out and asking for help. then, you know, we do postcards and things like that too, and they drum up a little bit of awareness and a little bit help build a few more client connections. But those human connections, that network that we're building as partners, I think is invaluable for that.
Yeah, at For Tomorrow, we've also been working on targeted outreach in the city of Sammamish. So visiting apartment complexes, the libraries, and maybe stores. So we've been doing some targeted outreach to be able to get the word out about our organization and our programs, our services. But as Irene mentioned, the word of mouth and referrals from other organizations is huge. We join a lot of community meetings through Zoom in person, so that we can also share our services and programs with them, and then they're able to refer individuals, families to us. And we recently put ourselves on Google. So that's also been really helpful to just have a presence on the internet. We have our website, but sometimes that's hard if you're not on Google, right? Everybody goes on Google to look for the things that they need and things that are in their area, services and things like that. Yeah, I think just building that network and continuing to do outreach so that we can continue to reach individuals is really important.
Very similar, right? For us, like referrals from all the organizations, like the food bank, Issaquah Community Services, the garage. We were really close with the garage too, the Resting Cafe. I'm Interboard as well, and I've been working with Kaylee since she started doing the first garage in Issaquah. And I know that now she's trying to put one here in Sammamish and one in Renton. And so referrals from different organizations and also for clients is very, every day. I don't feel that they don't know where we are. I think that we have a lot of people just walking into our office to ask for help. I work also with different hospitals. So, I'm very well connected with all their financial advisors at the hospital. So if there's someone who gets there and that they don't know how, that they can pay their services, then they will contact us too, because it's not only that. Obviously, if they cannot pay the hospital, they have other needs, and they need community navigation services. So yeah, and obviously the district, right? Like I really text with all the principals of our high schools because we are very, every day there is something going on in our high schools, and there's a different family who needs help. And they know that we are there in their high schools working. I spend a lot of time in Issaquah High and also in Skyline. Those are the two high schools that we serve more. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I also forgot to mention that we're also pretty well connected with the school districts, with Lake Washington School District, Bellevue School District, and we're obviously going to work to build those relationships in the city of Sammamish as well. We receive many referrals from the family engagement specialists and those other districts. So forming those relationships are really important to be able to get the word out about our organization, our services, and programs.
Thing I wanted to add quickly when you mentioned newspapers, it's not quite a newspaper, but something I've observed happening, because I've been working in nonprofits in Seattle for like 15 years now, on and off. More and more we'll get an email that just says, hey, there's a family of 5 people who recently emigrated from this place, and they need this, 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 and this. And it goes out, it's like to the person who sent it. So, it went to probably 250 people at 100 different nonprofits. And then, people are able to jump in and say, hey, we can do tutoring for the kids, and we can do clothes. And we jump in and say, we've got hygiene kits, and do they want to come like volunteer and meet other people? Because we've got an event happening with their community, and so it's it's kind of happening organically, I think, because these aren't like, this is a newsletter. It's just like so-and-so says, hey, these people walked into my office today and they need 25 things and we can do 2 of them. Who else can do the rest of it? And then also, I think there's just this unspoken agreement that we all then make sure that they don't fall through the cracks until we've figured out how to, somebody can meet every need on that list. So there's a really incredible willingness to follow through with folks too that I'm observing. More and more. I mean, we've all always been here because we want to help our communities be happier, healthier places to live, but I'm seeing that manifest in new and creative ways over the last couple of years in particular, as we all lean into the collaborative method.
Store has been phenomenal with that.
Yeah.
And some Facebooks.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Social media is very important to us too. We have a list of around 40 different chats. So there are always leads in all the different communities, cultural communities. So the Latinos use WhatsApp, the Chinese use WeChat, and so all of those groups, we know who is leading those chats, and some of those chats are like 300, 400 families there, right? So we send all our information through those chats as well, and those are really. It's how people really like to be connected these days. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you all for extending your day past 8 o'clock. We really appreciate you being with us.
Yeah. Any final questions or? Thank you. Yeah. And we do appreciate you coming here in the evening and spending time with us to educate us. You all do very important work, and this information has been really valuable to all of us. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, okay. We're going to swap on our agenda. We will do commissioner reports next. Does anybody have anything to share? Any of the commissioners have anything to share? Yes, you're good to go. Yes, you can be excused. I'm sorry. Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
You want staff report?
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, because we're just going to walk out with them. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Thank you. Okay, we're just going to do a quick swap. Commissioner reports will come before staff reports. All right, is that right?
C4S.
Yes, exactly.
Well, let's have an update on Sammamish.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm very interested.
There's this thing called cross-cultural senior programming. It's been going on since the middle of March, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at Beaver Lake Lodge. It started out with a big number for open house, and then it got a little smaller, and now it's back to big, and it's really great. The lodge occupancy was to be no more than 70.
Yeah.
But if you try to get 50 people in there for a Tai Chi, a yoga, or a strength thing, it just hit each other.
Yeah.
It's not like you can move it outdoors because you have to take a chair because of the little something with a chicken lean on when something goes cuckoo there. And but the sessions are well attended. Everybody's working well.
You know, you mentioned the acoustics. That was like
the acoustics is a problem.
Is that still a problem?
Yeah. When you walk in there in the morning, it says a coffee, tea, social for about a half an hour. And so you get that beautiful murmur, really good. And then at 10:30, it settles down to whatever the fitness is. And that is something that lasts about 45 minutes. And that is one person up there talking with a mic, one of those kind, and everything can be heard well. Then there is a break for the next thing. And the next thing would chatter, 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 breaks usually into something art, something into games, something into knitting. Okay, now you've got 3 quilting party type sounds around you, and it becomes acoustically lousy. I mean, even when, if you have 55 people in there, you're supposed to be absorbing all this noise, but it's not. It's just, so that is an issue. If you want to have a book club, it's been like an afternoon thing, but then again, there's the people who are still there playing cards, and you hear each other, no matter if you're in different ends of the lodge. It's a beautiful setting. It really is. And the people are mixing extremely well. And the Wisdom Cafes that we've been holding for the last 3 years, we're losing our Latina, who's been running them for all these years. She's moving from the Members Library down to Fairwood to be closer to home, the call she has. And that's been an afternoon one where we had a usual group of the Zoom participants on it. But now we've got like about 30 people staying for it and conversing, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. It's been really good. It's working. I would say communication is great.
Good. And like people are giving input and feedback, and
this is the survey time. You know, there's that 3-month survey that needs to be. It's going to be presented to the advisory group on the 26th, and we all say, okay, you've got to register to come in, be there, because if you're account over the 70, you can't. Even if somebody will have left, you haven't got that kind of mix there. So it's the advisory group is a mix of the India American group as well as the Semember Seniors group, plus a few others, and it's working very, very well.
Good, good.
We'll be looking at the surveys on the 26th.
Any other commissioner reports?
Philharmonic Orchestra had their good turnout. They raised good money and a lot of food too. YMCA had volunteers that showed. I can bring this up because
I spent about 15 minutes with Metro Flex program. That's the new community ride program. That's not the community van program, which everybody has definition issues there. Okay, which is the one can leave town for 2 hours and everybody has to have 2 people? And what is the one that's driven by Metro versus a volunteer? And the Metro Flex program is working on how to figure out how to make people understand what is what and how to do it. And they were spending time today helping people get the apps on their phone. Now, apps on the phone work well for people that are younger than I am. And it's like, okay, we'll find out.
One of those things.
Right.
To the community.
Yeah, the word out.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know app available for me.
Do you live within the boundaries of where it can go? The lodge is outside of the boundaries.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, so people can
Yeah.
get a ride.
Now, the boundaries, of course, are 228th and 244th. 244th goes up to 32nd. The lodge is still about 500 feet off there. Now we have a lady who has multiple sclerosis, and has a companion dog, and she's been taking the Flex program up there, and she was just told that it cannot do it anymore because it is not part of that perimeter. And we have a lot of people coming by access. We have supposedly Eastside Friends of Seniors recruiting drivers and meeting with people who need rides to be able to put something together. But the location is the hard part, and the transportation to it is the hard part.
But the Metro system, their program, Spanish spends a lot of money see if we and the scope of where they can go. City of Sammamish.
It'll take you up to Issaquah Highlands. You can take a bus somewhere. But you have to walk from your house the half a mile to get to the area where they'll pick you up.
Yeah.
Oh, but they
That's
can pick
always
you up
one of
at a
the-
park and ride, but you don't have a car to get
Yeah.
to the park and ride.
That's always one of the rubs of Sammamish, right? Is the
Yeah.
metro
A lot of
access
people
is terrible.
older than me can't physically walk a half a mile. Or
Not with
even-
all the ups and downs
or
in this
even
city.
6 blocks.
Yeah, if it could be the parkway up to whatever is beyond 244th, you know,
Well, from my neighborhood,
Dookie Hill.
my neighborhood to get to 228, it's all downhill. Well, that's great. So
Going.
the easy one, you gotta go back
Yeah.
up.
And it's icy or rainy or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are some good reports.
Sorry you asked.
That's
right?
okay. Yeah. No. I was glad. I was really good. It's good to hear about the senior programming.
Positive, very
Yeah,
positive.
very positive.
Maybe if I can
Um,
ask, is there, I'm sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Just anything that just really, I mean, we repeated a few things, but anything that really stood out from this evening, and maybe we're on that with Rita, but I just, things that we really want to carry forward to future years, I would love to hear from you all, what stood out tonight.
Value of meeting together.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really valuable. I think it's on the application. I thought it was.
Yeah.
So, but
Okay.
Yeah, there is a question. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Or put it in the scoring or something,
Mhm.
you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't we meet with nonprofits ahead of time? Not just us.
So the applications are going to be opening in February of 2024. So in September, I will work with my peers. And so we intentionally try and meet nonprofits way before the application because there's so much involved. So especially if you're applying for the first time. So we do very targeted outreach. And then plus we have quarterly coffee meetings with nonprofits, new nonprofits, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Because it may be beneficial for them to know what we look at.
When the application comes out, every CE can have a supplemental, and we'll normally give a supplemental of and we can maybe as a commission decide if you want to add some extra questions, or if you want to sort of say, we're specifically, really looking at collaboration. So again, I'm happy to explore what options we have and report out to you next meeting if that's.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was great tonight. Thanks for organizing.
I always have a question of, I'm just curious of how much funding did these nonprofits receive?
Just happen to have the report here.
Yeah, she's got the.
Okay. The basic needs was essential.
Yes, essentials.
Okay, Essential First World Food Program got $2,000.
This was the kids, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, the others were cultural inclusion. Central Cultural Mexicana. For Tomorrow's Life Service Program, 15. For Tomorrow's Rental and Mortgage Assistant, 15. For Tomorrow's Mental Health Coordination, 10,000.
And then Issachar Cultural Circle got 5,000. Issachar Cultural Circle, 5,000.
Okay. Staff report?
All right, good evening, commissioners. Okay, it's been a minute since we've had a quick debrief. I meet with my Eastside peers on a regular basis, like weekly, but every quarter we meet with the whole of King County. And so from those meetings with North, South, and East do we not have a West? I don't know why. Like, do we not have a West in King County? I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But there's about 30 different municipalities, and we have decided to do a couple of work groups, and I'm facilitating an alternative grant making group. And this is a small group of us. We're getting together to try and figure out the potential of changing our reimbursement model. So currently now, we only reimburse once someone has provided reporting. We look at it and then we reimburse. However, this has been a number of small nonprofits have said this is a barrier and that they need the money up front. So I'm looking to, and again, I don't know how viable this is, if we can change that reimbursement model. Several cities are already doing that reimbursement model, not through the regular human services grant, but this is through the ARPA funding, whereby they write out a contract. My question is that what if they don't do any service units, then they have to pay that money back, but really giving that money up front to an organization. And so we're just exploring if that's even viable. And so, yes, so we're currently meeting. I know Bellevue, Kirkland, and Kent currently have given money for some funding sources ahead of time, ahead of reporting. So we're just looking into that with the potentially maybe getting it in for the next funding cycle, or it may not even be viable and we may not even pursue it. Met with Issachar Food and Clothing Bank. I think some of the panelists talked to the change in the SNAP, the reduction in the SNAP program. That's a supplemental nutrition assistance program. And Issachar Food and Clothing Bank have seen a 30% increase in need over last quarter. They also want to promote their services. I think some of the previous commissioners that have been here for a while, Issachar Food and Clothing Bank would only service Issachar School District area, whereas now that's been lifted. So they really want to promote their services to the whole of Sammamish, because before it was HopeLink that did Lake Washington School District and Issachar Food and Clothing Bank that did Issachar School District. And then they also have a program called the Issachar Sammamish Food Project, whereby they have a neighborhood coordinator to collect food from 10 neighbors and then sort of drop it off at the food. It's the green thing, yeah. And so Mike and I have been chatting with them and working with our communications team to see if in two newsletters time, that one, they promote the food bank, and then two, promote this food project, because I think it's a great way of neighbors getting to know each other, as well as people know that they're eligible for their services. So we're working with communications there to try and get that out. Monitoring visits, we had Athletes for Kids. We went to Issachar Cultural Circle, and tomorrow I am going to be visiting with Eastside Friends of Seniors. With COVID, we weren't able to do that. Before COVID, we would basically go and visit each of the organizations that we fund at least once every 2 years, making sure they have all their ducks in a row. And lastly, and then the next newsletter, we have CrossPath being highlighted, and Zach is going to have, this is exciting, it's going to go to every home. We really wanted to highlight and innovate the work that Zach does. Clearly, we know that he is maxed out for counseling. However, that information and assessment portion, which is huge, and that's a unique thing that the city funds that you guys, funded. So it's going to be a good write-up on him. And last but not least, we had the Pride event. We raised the Progress Pride flag on May the 31st. And Mike and I gave away 200 crumble cookies. I know, 200, and they went like that. But that was a really fun way for us to be out there in the community, and it was a fun time had by Mike and I to do that. But that was it. It went by very quickly. News got around. Yeah, those teens. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, they were the small cookies. They were white sugar cookie, and then they had it was a piece of that gummy candy on there. But anyway, yeah, yeah, the effect was the same, but yeah. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our next meeting is welcoming week discussion. It's July 12th, welcoming week discussion, and then we're going to have a panel on immigrant issues with providers. Is that correct?
So we're going to look into that because I feel like these were new nonprofits, and so I don't know if it's going to be a little bit of a replication. So I'll work with you, Chair, just to figure out, like, you know, what maybe we might bring up one of the other meetings and have that later on in the year. Yeah.
Okay. That is our agenda. Do I have?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Look at the time, guys.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, we're adjourned. 8:31.
Atta girl. Just announce it.
Yeah.
Hey, Rita,
Exactly.
I was talking to Don Jaron about that issue about not having money up front and the reimbursement